All right, we still have people joining us, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with just a few housekeeping items so anyone that joins us in the meantime won't miss much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carla Eckhart. I'm a Senior Practice Management Advisor at Legal Fuel, the Practice Resource Center of the Florida Bar. Welcome to today's webinar, Florida Courts e-filing portal, PDFA requirements, cybersecurity FAQs, and more. During the webinar, if you have a question for the presenters, please use the Q&A module in the webinar controls at the bottom of the screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. However, due to time constraints, there may not be time to answer all questions. If you're watching us via the YouTube live stream, please submit your questions to legalfuel@floridabar.org. That's legalfuel@floridabar.org, and we'll respond as soon as possible. The course number will be provided at the end of the webinar. You'll need this course number to self-report your credits in your Florida Bar member portal. Now for a quick disclaimer. Legal Fuel CLE presentations are intended for educational purposes only and do not replace professional judgment. Statements of fact and opinions expressed are those of the presenters individually and, unless expressly stated to the contrary, are not the opinion of the Florida Bar or its committees. The Florida Bar does not endorse or approve and assumes no responsibility for the content, accuracy, or completeness of the information presented. Any feedback should be provided to the event organizer. The event organizer being Legal Fuel, so email legalfuel@floridabar.org. Again, that is legalfuel@floridabar.org. All right, it looks like everyone's joined us via Zoom and people are trickling in via YouTube live stream, but we're going to go ahead and get started, everyone. So Ken, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you so much, Carla. My name is Ken Burke, and I am the Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller for Pinellas County. And on behalf of the Florida Bar Standing Committee on Technology, it's my honor to welcome you to this session this afternoon. Hopefully, you'll find it very worthwhile as we talk about the e-portal as to what is coming up and some cybersecurity issues with the e-portal. We have two wonderful speakers, one being Carolyn Weber. Carolyn has worked with the courts and clerks at both the federal and state level for the past 40 years in a variety of roles. She was instrumental in the design and implementation of the federal court's e-filing application. Carolyn designed and developed an electronic filing system for Orange County before the portal was created. She joined the Florida Clerks and Comptrollers organization in November 2012 as the portal program manager and has helped in the design, implementation, and management of the Florida Courts e-filing portal. Our other speaker is Scott Hartsfeld. As director of the association's IT operations for the Florida Court Clerks and Comptrollers, Scott is responsible for managing the system's infrastructure, which includes servers, storage security, databases, and networks that supports FCCC's website and services. Scott has been with the association for 17 years and started as a database administrator prior to being promoted several times as a system engineering supervisor and then as a systems engineering and operations manager. Prior to his work with the clerks, he was the training and IT director for the Public Defenders Association of Florida. Scott is a U.S. Navy veteran. We thank him for his service and has an MIS degree from the Florida State University. The e-portal, which was first thought of and passed by the legislature in 2009 and went into operation in 2011, may be the most successful court filing portal in the entire world. It is amazing the volume of the Florida e-portal. And when the clerks, all 67, got together through our association, developed the portal, we never dreamed it would be the success that it is today. In the past fiscal year, the portal had almost 500,000 separate accounts of people filing into the portal. And it represents 21 million submissions, 30 million documents, and 150 million individual pages were transmitted through the portal. This past week, as a result of the tort reform bill passed by the legislature, the portal really got tested, and we came out with flying colors. The e-portal probably had the highest volume of new cases filed in the history of the portal. Just in a 1-week period of time, there were 253,000 new civil cases opened through the portal this past week. In addition, at the same time, all the other normal filings were coming in. And so the e-portal handled it and handled it well. So you may have questions, about how the e-portal works. What are some of the new things coming from the e-portal? And Carolyn's going to be addressing those. Carolyn, turn it over to you, please.
Thank you, Ken. Well, everybody, welcome to the Florida Courts e-filing portal. If you have watched any of the videos, you have seen or heard that statement at the beginning of each of our videos. Our training videos, of course, are located on the e-filing authority board webpage, but they are also on each individual page within the portal. Before we jump into the beginning of this presentation, just to follow up a little bit on Clerk Burke's document or all of his stats, wonderful stats, I just did finish doing our March monthly report for the portal, and our highest volume day was March the 21st at 133,580 submissions. We had 280,122 new cases filed electronically through the portal, which is 126.9% increase over the highest number that was reported previously, which was in May of 2021 at 123,000. So March was a monumental month for the portal. We hit record highs in all of our categories. Our peak filing hour had over 10,689 submissions. That's just between the 3 and 4 o'clock hour. And as Ken said, we have 532,600 portal accounts, and our e-service emails are 2.5 million. So the numbers are astronomical this month, and the portal, fortunately, withstood all of the new submissions and the new cases coming in. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the portal. As you all know, 10 years ago exactly, April of 2013, the Florida Supreme Court mandated that the attorneys file electronically through the portal to all civil cases. Soon thereafter, in October of 2013, the criminal cases were also mandated to be electronically filed to by the attorneys. Way back then, 10 years ago now, it seemed a long time, but there was only one way to access the portal, and that was through your single session filing. You would go to the e-filing authority board webpage, click on enter the portal. You would request your user account by selecting your role and registering, and then using your credentials to log into the portal. This would take you to the welcome page, which is more than likely the e-filing map for everyone, which, as you can see here, has changed over the past 10 years as well. But we'll get into that more towards the end of the presentation. But when you would sign in, you would go and select your jurisdiction, follow the prompts, and then submit your documents to the court. That was pretty much the only way that you could file electronically to the portal, through that single session filing. Well, over the years, we have been able to utilize some of our training to have a third-party vendor application. Third-party vendors have to be certified by the Florida Courts e-filing authority in order to connect to the portal. And what it allows is for a law firm or an organization to batch file their documents electronically through the portal. So you wouldn't log in through the single session application, go through the prompts. It basically automates the process. This list of certified vendors is available on the e-filing authority board webpage, and their name is a link to the organization. So if you decide you would like to employ one of the third-party vendors, make sure they're certified by the e-filing authority board, and then you can go ahead and utilize their services. So now, PDFA. We've done a number of these legal fuel presentations and a number of talks about PDFA and why PDFA is so important. First of all, these documents are here for the duration. There's a retention schedule for most of these documents, so obviously they have to be viewable on any device, not only today, but 10 years down the road. So PDF-A is a universal format and is also viewable on any device, whether it's a PC or a Mac. The A in PDF-A stands for archivability. It is important that the long-term preservation of these documents be there and be available regardless of the apparatus you're using to view these documents. It's a trusted security file format that cannot be altered or edited without leaving a footprint. It is searchable, which is very important for the court. It's searchable by words or symbols. They're very easy and quick to create as long as you computer generate your documents using your word processor. And in most cases, it presents a decreased file size. So that 5 megabyte limit for providing service on documents can be escaped. Document is self-contained, which means it has everything it needs to be presented. So all of the variations of the font that you're using, whether it's bold, italic, all is contained within the document so that it does not have to go outside of the document to make it viewable. And primarily, it is the required format for the portal, which was approved by the FCTC. Back in 2018, it was decided that the portal would provide education through the portal as we move towards this PDF-A format. The portal we put in place in October of 2018, a check on each document that was submitted through the portal for PDF-A format compliance. We were to provide feedback if that document did not comply with a PDF-A format, which we did. It is available when you go into the Documents tab and you upload your document. If it is not PDF-A, it gives you a warning and it tells you the process or the problem with your document. Most times it's because all of the fonts have not been included in that document. Also, we were to provide a link to an online video which explains how to create that PDF-A document, excuse me, which is out there, and to provide an FAQ on the creation of a PDF-A document. And that is available in the News and Information section of the portal. This is a look at your Documents tab in the Filing Path single session. And down here is at the bottom is that PDF-A advisory, which gives you a link here to a PDF FAQ and also a link to that online video. Now, the portal's PDF-A filing responsibility. Obviously, the portal is not going to reject your submission if your document is not a properly formatted PDF-A. What we will attempt to do is to convert what is submitted into that PDF-A document. The portal will continue to accept Word and PDF and the PDF-A document formats. But if there is a digital signature or our digital notarizations, which require an encryption key, we will not pass that along to the CMS, the clerk's CMS. Documents filed in that PDF-A approved format will just go straight into the clerk's CMS. And right now, only 9 clerks are not storing PDF-A documents in their case maintenance systems. So if you submit a properly formatted PDF-A, that document goes straight to the clerk into their CMS. If it is submitted as a Word document, we will convert that to an approved PDF-A format. If it's filed in an other searchable PDF format, we will convert that as well to an approved PDF-A format. But if it is a scanned document, which is only an image of what it is you're filing, it will be rasterized as an approved PDF-A format, but it will not be searchable. So it will not be in compliance with what the FCTC is requiring. So how do you create a PDF-A document? The best way is to computer generate so that all of your documents are text-born PDFs. Computer generate it using your word processor. Use the approved signature format, which is the S/ and the attorney's type name, or you can create a JPEG or a bitmap image and embed that image in the signature block. Use Word provided Save as PDF option, which is in the File menu on your word processor. Or you can also use the Word provided Acrobat ribbon, which is at the top in your File menu, and that will convert your source file directly to a PDFA with the click of a button. Some of the tips, probably the best thing is don't use the funky fonts is what we refer to them. Use fonts that are commonplace. Times, Courier, and Helvetica are already integrated into the PDFA structure. All variations of it, whether it's regular, italic, bold, bold italic, all of that needs to be included in your document, just in case you use that within the preparation of your document. So the best thing or the best piece of advice I can give you is not to use those very strange or rare fonts. And your electronic signature. I know everybody likes to see their wet ink signature on your documents, but that means you have to create your document, print your document, sign it, and then scan it back in as a PDF document. That is not a good way to create your PDFA. Type your signature into the document using that accepted format. It was put in place by the Florida Supreme Court just to facilitate creating a proper PDFA. It's S/ and the attorney's type name. You can draw your signature in your own handwriting to create that bitmap image, then scan it and take that image and drop it into your document. And that too will serve as a good signature. And there's also some electronic signature software that is available out there if you should choose to investigate that avenue. So how not to create a PDFA? Please don't scan your documents. It only creates a picture of what it is you're trying to file. It has no regard for the code, the text, or any concern for the contents. It's just strictly a picture of what it is you're filing. It is not an intelligent document. Scanning an OCR, which stands for the optical character recognition, also is really a not acceptable format. OCR is making a guess at what it is you're trying to say, an 80% chance of producing an accurate PDFA. And again, the use of a digital signature that requires a public key encryption and authentication will not be sent through the portal. It will be flattened and it will not be viable. So the takeaway: computer generate, do not print, sign, and scan. File, save as PDF, and then in your options, make sure you choose a PDFA document. If you must scan, use a notice of filing, and then with your scanned document attached as an exhibit. And right now, we have 58 counties now receiving and storing a PDFA document in their case maintenance system. And bottom line is, if at any point paper is involved, you've failed to meet the portal standards. So Scott?
Before you turn it over to Scott, you mentioned several times the FCTC. Would you just explain for the people participating what is the FCTC and its relation to the ePortal Authority?
The FCTC is the Florida Courts Technology Commission, and it, in conjunction with the E-Filing Authority Board, provide oversight to the Florida Courts e-filing portal. So we work in conjunction with them. All right, Scott, it's up. Take it away on the cybersecurity.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Carolyn, and good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to discuss cybersecurity and the e-portal. With today's digital environment and new cyber threats showing up daily, we take security of the portal very seriously and do our best to ensure the portal is protected. This ranges to policies and procedures to using technology to provide safeguards. And then how do we keep the portal secure? First, as everybody knows, cybersecurity is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we continue to evaluate our security posture on the portal and review how we can improve it. And starting with, it doesn't always lead to technology. First thing we do as a company is we do employee background checks to ensure that the vetted people that have access to the data and systems have passed their background checks upon hiring. And we also do training as of hire and annually. We use an industry standard firewall, which all systems are maintained behind this firewall. It's next generation, monitors the traffic and alert systems staff to any threats. We do update the system and patch regularly. We ensure that all systems are patched and updated on a regular basis, with critical patches being applied within 7 days. All updates and patches are applied to test systems before being applied to production. This ensures that there's no issues with the patches. Annually, we have security and SOC audits performed by separate organizations. All findings are reviewed and any critical issues are addressed immediately. Past security reviews and SOC audits have been favorable. We also did penetration testing, and that's done by another organization. This is usually a week-long engagement where they try to penetrate our systems. As other audits, we review the findings and address as necessary. Past tests have not found any major issues. We also employ hypertext transfer protocols secure, which is HTTPS. That's for all URLs the portal uses, which ensures an encrypted secure connection when communicating with the portal. That includes your single sign-on and your batch filing. All submissions are virus scanned. And if there's any issues found, then we will notify the filer, although it won't say that there was an issue. It will just that it was a virus. It'll say there was an issue, and the filing is then quarantined. We also use reCAPTCHA to try and cut down on bots and any brute force attacks. We also, the way this will work is if your users coming in from an IP and it uses more than normal amounts of tries, then I'll throw into a reCAPTCHA, and then you must complete that reCAPTCHA before moving forward. We also use password length and complexity. Users must create an account with a username and password. The password history is tracked, and the password must be between 6 and 16 characters with 1 numeric. Also, this is just for any attorneys creating a new account on the portal, is validated against the FortiBar data that is received daily. We validate your FortiBar ID. And so we use the FortiBar email that is registered with the FortiBar to send the activation link. So it's always good to make sure you keep your FortiBar email up to date. We do not store any credit card or account numbers. This is with PCI compliance. And all activity is logged in the portal for auditing purposes. And then how can you help with the security of keeping the portal safe? And it's really following security best practices. Don't share your password or login information. You want to use a complex password. Don't use common words like password. Use a paraphrase, like "I love the law" or something like that. Don't share your security questions. Don't let anybody know that you picked who was your first dog. Don't open any suspicious looking emails. This goes with phishing. And also never want to plug in a USB into your system that you're not sure where it came from. As always, keep your virus software up to date. Make sure you do have virus software, because virus software is kind of like insurance, right? You don't ever have to use it, but you're glad you have it. Use a secure internet access, or Wi-Fi when connecting to the portal. If you do leave your computer unattended, you should lock it. And I kind of put the commands up here for the PC and Mac users. Windows +L locks it, Command plus Control and Q locks it on the Mac. Update browsers to the latest version. This is particularly interesting because in February of 2023, Microsoft no longer supports IE, and it will be removed from Windows. So if it hasn't already been removed from your system in your firm, then you'll probably notice it going away. In conjunction with that, the portal will no longer support IE. So, and with that, I think I'm going to turn it over back to Carolyn to talk about what's next.
Okie doke. Thank you, Scott. All right. So what is new? First of all, probably have noticed effective January 1st of 2023, the legislature added a new 6th District Court of Appeal. That meant the portal had to create a new DCA within the portal. We had to realign and update the e-filing map as it pulled counties from the 5th, I believe, and the 1st into the 6th. We also then had to take a list of those cases that transferred so that we could provide a pop-up when a filer went in to file to a 5th DCA case that had been moved to the 6th and provide them with the new case number in the 6th DCA. We did that as well as move the e-service list for that case that transferred to the 6th DCA so that it did not begin again with the new case number. So all of that, along with the updated civil cover sheet, came out on January 1 of 2023. We also have worked with the Florida Supreme Court and the 1st DCA as they moved to a new case management system, C-Track. That happened the beginning or the mid part of March. That conversion was successful, and right now both the Florida Supreme Court and the 1st Court of Appeal are going on using their new case management system. We also added in the portal, with the Injunction Act that was filed, a new injunction filing path for clerks to send those injunction documents directly to law enforcement specified by the Florida Sheriff's Organization. So that was added, and the clerks are now, some of the clerks are now using that filing path. And we also created and implemented the statewide non-confidential circuit civil filing access queue. That is out there and available right now. It houses all case initiations in circuit civil for non-confidential cases. That information is available in the filing access review queue for 5 days, after which it's available in the county in which the case was submitted. And the case number most of the time is provided within that 5-day time frame. So that's available in the quick links in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Now, what's coming in 2023-01, which should go out the end of April, possibly the beginning of May, we are in the process of doing a complete single session rewrite for the filer's interface. That will begin in this next release and hopefully conclude in our October 2023-02 release. There will be absolutely no loss of functionality. It will just update the pages with a new and fresh and modern look, but it will be different. All of the training videos will be redone with the new user interface, as well as all of the manuals that are available out there for you as well. Everything will be done, and it will be exactly as it looks for the new filer's interface. We are also going to add county civil. Those non-confidential case initiation submissions for county civil, both county and small claims, will be added to the filing access review queue. And again, those will be available for those 5 days. E-notification of subsequent case activity will also be available. So as a filer, you will be able to specify for circuit and county civil cases, any cases in which you request to be notified of subsequent case activity. That will be available as part of our release. And we will also include a link where you can request to be removed from the e-service list in the Notification of Electronic Filing, or the NEF, for all e-service recipients. So that will hopefully make it a little easier for you to be removed from an e-service list when you've been added to that list in error. So that's what's coming up in our next release. Well, really for the next year, because the bulk of it is going to be the rewrite of the filer's interface. So Carla, I can hand it back to you for any questions or comments.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We do have a number of questions, so we're going to start at the top. How would you address exhibits with PDFA files?
Exhibits are going to have to be submitted in the way that they are in their original format. I would suggest you possibly reach out to the county to get their recommendation as to how they wish you to submit those exhibits, because it will vary from county to county as to how they're supposed to be submitted and in what format.
Thank you, Carolyn. Next question. Our county requires original signatures of clients on probate documents. How do we address not scanning those in?
Correct. Probate documents does require the original signature right now. I understand that the Rules Committee is looking at amending those rules. However, that's not in place right now. That's where I would use your notice of filing and then attach that document with the original signature.
Thank you, Carolyn. Next question. If we cannot OCR documents that are provided to us by scans, either due to document type or document age, how best can we submit those documents through the portal?
You're just going to have to make your best effort to submit them. I mean, if the documents are old and there's just no way other than scanning those documents, it kind of goes back to the exhibit question. They would be handled the very same way. And you would use either the original motion, and then you file the exhibits as an attachment, and then they're going to have to come in the way they come in.
Wonderful. Thank you. This next one, how can you file a notarized petition without using paper at some point? We normally have the affiant sign in the presence of a notary and then scan the document. Is this wrong?
It's not wrong at this point right now. Again, the Rules Committee are looking at all of these documents that right now require notarization, and they're amending that list. There's also notarization functionality that can be utilized online, to where you can have a document notarized online, and then you don't have to print out the document and sign it and take it somewhere to be notarized. So that would be an option, to use an online notary.
Thank you. This next question, I believe you may have answered already regarding the use of exhibits, but I will read it again just in case. If a document has to be scanned and it's an exhibit to a petition, and combined with that petition is a separate notice of filing necessary?
Not if it's attached to the original document that you're submitting. I believe that the standards address whether or not that exhibit should be attached to, say, the complaint that's being filed or filed separately. But again, in a lot of cases, that's a county-specific requirement, and I would reach out to the county that you're submitting to and get their recommendation as to how they want to receive that document, whether individually or combined as one.
And Scott, I think this next one is for you, but I'm not sure if the sentence itself is complete, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is system and patched system?
What systems and patch system? That's where we run our patches from, like Microsoft or Linux or anything like that, and we patch each of the servers that the ePortal application relies on.
And this is me asking a follow-up.
Mhm.
A patch is for security purposes. Can you explain to our viewers what a software patch is or a system patch is?
Basically, it is where, let's say, Windows found a bug or an issue, and they correct it. They then push that out to your client, and it happens on your desktop also. Your Windows updates, that's where you should always apply your updates. But so it's basically code to fix any issues or security holes that may have been found by the manufacturer.
Do not fret, everyone. The portal is consistently patched and kept up to
Correct.
date. Next question. Again, I think it has to do with exhibits, but I will ask it anyway. Regarding PDFA, how do you handle the inclusion of extensive exhibits? For example, the motions for summary judgments. We often receive signed affidavits that are scanned from various affiants and or attached deposition transcripts. Do we need to convert those to a specific format?
Yeah, it all goes back to those exhibits and how the county wishes for you to handle them. Those are the hardest documents that you all have to deal with as far as converting to PDFA. And most of the time, they're not going to be able to be a PDFA document. You'll get some of them as a PDFA format, which is fine. So again, reach out to the county and find out how they wish to receive those documents.
Thank you, Carolyn. This next one, I kind of like it as a Mac user myself. Our office uses Mac only, and some filers do not have Adobe. Do you know if Preview in Mac can create a PDFA?
Ooh, I am not a Mac user. I don't know. I would think, though, that they would have some PDF converter tool built into their application, into their word processor.
Right.
So I would investigate or just do a search or a help within your Mac and find out where it is. But I would be very surprised if they didn't convert or didn't include a PDF converter in their software.
And just to add to that, again, I am a Mac user. So if you are using Word, you could probably save directly from Word as PDFA, and then Preview will then open and let you preview that. Now, if you are using Preview exclusively to handle PDFs, you may want to consider getting a more robust PDF solution for your Macs. You can purchase Adobe for your Macs, but there are others, PDF Element, PDF Expert, all of which can support PDFA and assist you with creating a PDFA. So again, save a PDFA from your Word on your Mac, but then I don't believe Preview has enough features. It's really meant to allow you to, like it's called, preview PDFAs, but it has very limited editing features. So consider just buying something a bit more robust, like Adobe or these others in the App Store, like PDF Element or PDF Expert. All right. Next one. How do you handle pro se filers who file a paper pleading?
If they have, excuse me, they file in Word, because the Word format most of the times is what we will get from a pro se filer. And then we'll take the document and convert it to whatever flavor of PDFA we're able to do. If it's going to a county that saves a PDFA document in their case maintenance system. So we will do the conversion on that for them. We'll do it for anybody that files in Word, but we will convert it to whatever PDFA flavor we can convert it to. So I encourage you, just like when you save a document in Word to PDF, it sometimes throws off your page numbering or your footnote. So I would want to be responsible for the way that document is going to look before I submit it. So I would make that conversion myself and not rely on the portal to do it for me.
Let me add that and maybe as another aspect of that question, a citizen coming into our office, as a clerk's office, who is not an attorney, they can file paper documents directly with the clerk. Those do not go through the e-portal. The clerk at the individual office will convert those documents into electronic documents for the court file.
Thank you both. All right, next question. What is the proper way to reduce or split a large file that the portal won't accept due to size?
Well, we have a 50 megabyte file size right now, which is a very large document. So if you are converting to a PDFA, which reduces the file size, unless it's very large and thousands of pages, it should fall underneath that 50 megabyte file size. If not, you're going to have to split the document into two separate documents and then file them one at a time. So you can make that split either halfway through the document or at a logical place within your document to make that split. But larger than 50 megabytes right now is not acceptable through the portal. That's the file size limit.
The next one I think is for me. The moderator needs to speak up. I am so sorry. All right, I will be louder. Next question. Can they update the choices for document type? So I'm going to guess that when they're in the actual filing itself in the portal.
Yeah, when you get to the Documents tab and you have the ability to select the document that you're going to file, these document categories and document descriptions are put together by the various counties. So it depends on which county you're filing to as to where you might find a specific document description. The best way to find it is to type a unique word of the title of your document into that search field and hit the tab key, and that will bring up all of the documents within that county that have that word in their description, and then you'll be able to select the document that most closely resembles the document you're trying to file. If you can't find the exact name of the document that you have created, you can use the generic motion that will get it into the portal. And then when the clerk performs their clerk review before they accept your document, they can change it to what it should be within their case maintenance system.
Great. The next question, again, has to do with scanned documents. If we do a notice of filing for all documents scanned, then the docket will not detail what the document is filed. It will show notice of filing over and over again. So Carolyn, how do you address that?
That is true, unless you title your document notice of filing and then the name of the document. Hopefully that you don't have to do that as often as what you're anticipating you're going to have to do. Other than exhibits, I don't know why you would have to scan your document, a motion that you're creating and trying to file. So.
Right. You should be able to generate it in your word processing application, save it as a PDF from there, and then a PDFA from there, and then upload that.
Correct. Absolutely.
All right. Next question. Why are some documents filed, such as a policy, or why do they come back corrupted with symbols everywhere? I think I know what they're talking about.
Where do they come back from? I'm not understanding the question. In the conversion process?
If I don't want to call this person out by name, but if you ask the question, go ahead and elaborate on that. I do know that sometimes files, if you try and convert an OCR document or back to Word, it'll come back with a bunch of random symbols. Maybe perhaps that's what they're talking about. If they didn't properly convert from PDF back to Word, it shouldn't happen if you're converting or saving as PDFA from Word to PDF.
No, if you're converting forward, meaning if you're going from your originating document, your word processor, into a PDF or PDFA, you shouldn't have that issue at all.
All right. Well, if you ask that question, please go ahead and elaborate on that. But I think the issue with that would be if you're converting a PDF to Word and then back again. So if that is not what you were asking, re-ask your question. All right, we already answered this about pro se filers who file paper pleadings. So thank you, Carolyn and Ken, for answering that earlier. What is the time frame the committee will be done examining the original signature documents, i.e. notarized affidavits?
The Rules Committee? Oh, goodness, that's that's a hard one to predict. It takes time for the Rules Committee to make changes and for them to be approved. But I know this one has been ongoing at least for the past year and a half under the guidance of the FCTC. So I would anticipate, hopefully, we would be able to hear something by possibly October of this year or more towards the end of this year, because it has been under consideration for quite some time.
Next question. We have been filing a notice of confidential information for UCC JEA filings in family law, and they are always rejected, saying they are not confidential. But according to our attorneys, they are, as they contain children's birthdays, and the rule states we are to file the notice for confidential information. So how does, I guess the question, there is no question there, but I guess the question is, how does the system determine and that is not confidential? And then we'll reject it.
Actually, I mean, that's a question that you have that needs to go to the county that you're filing to. The portal does not reject anything. The only thing the portal sends to the correction queue is a virus scanned document in which a virus has been detected. Otherwise, everything comes in, goes to the county performs their review, and if it ends up in the correction queue, it's at the direction of the county. So I would reach out to the county that you were filing to and get clarification as to what they're looking for.
And I will add, the clerks follow obviously Rule 2.420, which has the list of 23 items which are considered confidential. If it's not one of those 23 which are specifically stated, and then it's not confidential. Now, obviously, once we make our initial determination, if filer objects, it will then be kept confidential until a judge has the opportunity to review to determine indeed is it confidential or not confidential. I'm pretty sure that's how the system works.
Thank you both. That makes absolute sense. All right, next question. Will there ever be uniformity for filing preferences across all counties?
I'm going to handle this one because, we are dealing with historic items in the court system, and the Florida was based in giving great deference to the local counties and circuits, and for certain chief judges to have a good deal of authority to determine forms, docket codes, that type of thing in conjunction with their individual clerks. So everything was done based on a local system, and that's been decades in place. We all have the goal to get towards greater uniformity, but that comes at a struggle. Uniformity is great if you do it my way, is the philosophy of a lot of people. And so that's hard to do. That's not uniformity. And we do have so many court rules, as was just pointed out, which are embedded into giving individual authority to local circuits. For example, guardianship forms. The guardianship accounting form that we use in Pinellas is different than the one they use in Hillsborough. The process for small claims is handled different in Pinellas compared to Hillsborough with the guardianship form. With small claims, we have a different process in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough, 3 counties which are all right next to each other. And so this is going to take a long-standing effort. It's an effort that we all want to get towards, but it's not. It's a messy effort because everyone has their compelling reason why they want to do things on the local basis. Karen Rushing, who's head of the ePortal Authority, she's the long-standing clerk from Sarasota County. Just a brilliant person, by the way. She is heading up a clerk task force of docket codes to see how we can make those as much uniform as we possibly can. So there is an effort. It's going to take everyone's part. The Florida Court Technology Commission, the rules committees, clerks, systems, to make that happen. But the effort is there, and attorneys, it's going to involve attorney cooperation too. So it's just hard to get there. And I think we are making lots of steps along the way. The e-portal, though, is maybe forcing us to do some of this. But remember, the e-portal is really just a conduit for a file to get from the filer to the clerk's office. It itself is not going to achieve this uniformity. It has to be achieved through other mechanisms.
All it's done is pointed out a little bit more in your face.
All right, next one. We have time for just a few more questions. Records on appeal forwarded to the district courts are required to be in PDFA format. This often creates a document that is not in compliance with accessibility due to the inclusion of handwritten pleadings submitted by defendants who are often incarcerated. Should we continue with best efforts to create a PDFA with the understanding that some portions of the record may not be text recognizable and in compliance with accessibility standards?
I would say yes to that question. And I would also reach out to your district court of appeal that you're submitting to.
Thank you. All right. Are we able to print a document, sign it, and then scan it and convert it to PDFA and then file it? So print it, sign it, scan it, convert to PDFA, then file.
Well, you'd have to take a look at that PDFA that you are converting, and what are you converting that PDFA with? A printer? It's, like I said, the best way to do it is to not get that wet ink signature on your document, but be satisfied with the S/ and the attorney's type name, or use the JPEG or the bitmap image and embed that image in your document and then save it as a PDFA. You get a printer involved and it's going to be an image.
Thank you. All right. Next one, kind of in line with that uniformity question. If we have suggestions, complaints, concerns as to how a specific county has set up their e-portal options, to whom can we direct those questions?
I would go back to the county.
Carolyn. Yeah, but I would also talk to Carolyn, so she can add perspective to the county. If we're doing something that's unusual, we oftentimes don't know it unless it's pointed out to us. So either the county or Carolyn to give a overall perspective. I mean, that's one of the things the e-portal authority deals with are these types of issues too.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, this one is specifically directed at you. Is there a danger in viewing a spam email, not opening or clicking on anything? I need to vet the emails that come to our general mailbox, and some are not obviously spam until I view the body of the email.
Usually if you don't click on anything, then you don't have an issue. If you think it's spam, and sometimes depending on your IT department, you can report that as spam or just delete it.
Don't click anything.
Don't click anything. That's where they get you.
All right. Let's see.
And they're good too. They're tricky.
They are. They try to be very tricky.
They're tricky. They catch me all the time. I'm going through this security training on phishing all the time, Scott.
All right. This might be a question for the local clerk's office, but nonetheless, I will ask it here. If you are trying to file a document and the title does not show, can you file it under notice of filing without a cover sheet?
I would use a generic motion. If you're filing a motion or a petition, I would use the generic format of that and allow the clerk then to view your document and to choose what is in their case maintenance system that best, conforms to your document. So I would just use motion or petition or affidavit and not be specific in the title and let the clerk make the decision within their CMS.
Thank you. And that got a thumbs up from Ken. So that is the way to go. All right. I'm going to ask two more questions and then we're going to have to wrap it up. Next question. How would you handle this particular situation? An attorney insists on signing every pleading with a wet signature, and then they have to scan the signed document. What would you tell this attorney with regards to the requirements of the portal?
Oh, goodness. Well, I've said it so many times. It's the rules have, or the standards have been put in place to help everyone to file electronically through the portal and to achieve this PDFA format, which is a requirement of the FCTC, and that S/ in the attorney's type name is the official signature for the attorney. That being said, I realize attorneys like to see their signature. So as much as you say it, they're going to continue to do it. So all you can do is comply. And if they submit a scanned PDF document and it's not a searchable document, then it goes into the court file. And the judge wants to pull up that document and do a search for something in that document and is unable to do so because it is not a PDFA document, then who knows? I mean, all you can do is your best effort. That's all we can do.
But I know there's a lot of sort of tales and old rules, and like we still get calls of people saying, well, I know the Florida bar requires that we assign a fax number. No, we don't. Same thing with wet signatures. Yes, of course, wet signatures were once the standard, but the rules now very clearly provide for a typed signature, and that would be accepted, and it's probably preferred because, again, the situation that Carolyn just presented, a judge tries to pull up that particular document and can't, then that attorney that insisted on a wet signature is going to have to answer some questions as to why the judge cannot view that particular document. So, just worth considering if you are dealing with that in your law firm at the moment. Maybe pull up the rule, tell them that a typed signature is acceptable and preferred, and that they would be doing the judge a favor. All right. Last question. If I found a document filed with the wrong case number and it's on the docket on another case number, can I call the clerk to see how it can be corrected? Ken, I'll let you answer this.
Simple answer, yes.
Always defaults to calling the clerk when it has to do with something on the docket, I think. That's probably the best you can do. All right. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our session. Thank you, Ken, Carolyn, and Scott, and thank you to everyone who joined us for today's webinar. The course number for today's webinar is 7388. That number again is 7388. This webinar has been approved by the Florida Bar's Continuing Legal Education Department for 1 hour of General CLE credit, including 1 hour of Technology CLE credit. You will receive an email tomorrow via Zoom outlining this information. A recording of today's webinar will be published on legalfuel.com in the next few days. For more information, please email legalfuel@floridabar.org. Again, that's legalfuel@floridabar.org. And this concludes today's webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Ken, Carolyn, and Scott for presenting. And if anyone has any questions, just contact Legal Fuel. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.